Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here, and today I have a card to share as part of a special blog hop for my friend Julia. She recently reached 10,000 YouTube subscribers and decided to have a Celebrate Kindness blog hop to celebrate that awesome milestone, and I'm thrilled that she asked me to take part and to create a card for this special hop. So for my card, I'm going to be creating a fun floral themed card with some Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, as well as this awesome background stamp from Hero Arts. So to start off, I just am taking this big background stamp and I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I'm completely covering the stamp, and I'm going to stamp it onto a piece of Bristol cardstock. Now this is a really great cardstock for ink blending and doing any kind of Zig Clean Color Real Brush marker coloring on, because it has this kind of a special surface on it. It's almost like it almost has like a sheen to the top of the paper. And one thing I like about that is that it doesn't actually stamp as well as normal plain Nina Solar white cardstock. So when I stamped this black on here, it actually didn't stamp completely perfect. It kind of had like a splotchiness to it, and I kind of wanted that. That was the look I was going for, because I thought that it really made these floral images look kind of vintage, because they weren't perfectly stamped, so they kind of looked old, and that was kind of what I wanted them to look like. So that's why I used the Bristol, so I could get kind of that effect when I did the embossing, and then also because I'm going to be using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers on this image. So I completely covered it with the VersaFine Onyx Black, and then I coated the whole thing with clear embossing powder, and then I heat set it, and that is what gave me this awesome finish. And now I can go ahead and start to add color to this. Now since this is embossed, it helps to kind of hold the color into the little areas that I'm coloring, and because the image is completely stamped in black, even if I kind of go out of the lines, you're not really going to notice, because all that color is just going to go into the black area on the flowers. So when I started coloring this, I thought I wanted to do like the color of the markers and then kind of blend it out with water. And as I went on this first little area here, I decided I didn't really like it because I didn't want it to be as light as it was becoming with the water blended with it. So once I did that first one, I decided to just do some blending with markers directly and not use the water anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a darker marker in the center area, and then I'm just going to take a lighter marker and kind of blend it out. And in some spots it doesn't even really look like I have two different colors, but it definitely does in real life. It just doesn't pick up as well on camera. But I decided to do that completely for the whole entire image, and I did not use the water until a little bit later. You'll see I do use the water once again. But for the flower images, I decided I wanted them really bright and bold and have like a lot of pigment of color into them. So I decided just to use the darkest color and then to kind of pull that color out with the lightest color. Now, I really prefer to use these, like I said, on the Bristol cardstock. I just find that it blends so smoothly. You don't even really have to work at it. You just kind of put the color down, and even when you're adding the lighter color in, they just kind of blend seamlessly together, and you don't even really see a transition between the lighter and the darker color. So I really like that. I just like how easy it is to blend them out. It doesn't take any time at all to color them. And then I really love the brush tip on these markers because it is an actual brush. It's not like a nib tip or like a brush, like a marker end. It actually has like a brush, like a paintbrush. So when I color all these images in and I go back in with my darker color to kind of add some brush strokes in to kind of give it some detail, you can see in the larger leaves there on the bottom area right now that I'm coloring on. I just kind of give it some flicks of the marker, and it adds these really great like kind of lines through the leaves or whatever I happen to be coloring, and it just gives it this really great look and makes it look really dimensional and more realistic. So I really like that. So I did all of the flowers. I colored everything in. I used some pinks, some purples, and some aquas, and then some lime greens for all the leaves. And then I decided I wanted to add some shading to the background area. I wanted it to look like the look I was originally going for, kind of like a vintage look and like an older look. So I wanted the paper to kind of look older. So I didn't want it to be completely stark white. So I decided to take my gray marker and kind of went around the images. And I just kind of concentrated on different areas. I didn't completely go around every single image. And then I used my water brush to kind of pull that color out to lighten it up and kind of have it blend into the background, just so I would have a little bit of a shadowy look in behind all of the flowers and leaves. And then once I finish that, I'm going to move on to the sentiment portion of the card. So I took this Smile stamp set from Alt New, and I went ahead and stamped the A Good Day Starts With A, and I stamped that onto a piece of black cardstock with Versamark ink, and I heat embossed it with white embossing powder. And now I'm taking the die cut for the word smile, and I've cut this out from Silver Sparkle cardstock, and I'm going to emboss on top of this. I tried this out a few weeks ago, and I wasn't sure what would really happen because I had never done it before. I didn't know if it would kind of melt the glitter paper or how it would look when it was actually embossed, and I ended up really loving the look, so I decided to do it on this die cut piece here. So I die cut the word first, and then I stamped the outline of the word smile directly on top of that glitter paper. And now I'm just taking some silver platinum embossing powder, and I'm completely putting it all over the area where I stamped with the Versamark ink. You just want to make sure when you are stamping on the glitter paper, you give a nice amount of pressure to your stamp. Just because it is a textured surface, it's a little bit harder for that ink to grab onto and to fully adhere. Like, you want a nice even amount so that you get a nice embossed image. So I found I haven't had any problems as long as I put a nice amount of pressure on and got it really inked up, then the image went through just fine. And then I went ahead and heat set it, and you can see this shiny silver that I have over the sparkly silver. Now, it might seem like a lot of sparkle and shine, but I, for one, love it. I don't think you can ever have too much sparkle. So I really just think it is just such a pretty look, and it's tone on tone, so it's not like bam in your face, but it really has this really pretty look to it that I thought went really neat with the vintagey type background that I was creating with the flowers. So once I had it all embossed, I added a striped piece of pattern paper to the side of my card base, and then I adhered the floral piece that we had colored onto the top of that. I did trim it down a bit so it was a little bit thinner. I didn't want it as wide. And now I'm adhering a piece of vellum on top of that. So what I did is I just put a little tiny bit of adhesive on the very edge of the vellum on the left-hand side, and I adhered that directly onto the striped pattern paper piece. And now I'm adhering the sentiment directly onto the vellum. So none of the vellum is actually adhered over top of the flower area. It's completely loose there. It's only adhered on the striped pattern paper piece. And I'm just kind of positioning my sentiment and figuring out how I want it, because I did want to kind of have the black strip and the smile word overlapping. And then to finish it off and cover the area that did have the adhesive, I just put a piece of Silver Sparkle cardstock, a thin strip of it down the left-hand side to kind of separate the floral part from the striped piece. And then my sentiment is perfectly secured there, and it's not going to go anywhere. And I just trimmed down the edge of the vellum so that it fit onto the card front. And then I added some silver sequins and some silver stickles to finish the card. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Huge congrats to Julia on 10,000 subscribers. And make sure to check out the description box down below for a link to my blog post where you can find more information on this blog hop. Thanks for watching.